This week on Cage Side Seats, the podcast, we're talking about how Kevin Owens can do no wrong, Sammy Guevara's heel turn, and AEW teaming up with New Japan Pro Wrestling for an all-new pay-per-view, not a premium live event.
Welcome to Cage Side Seats, the podcast. We don't have a good name, but we do have great opinions. I'm your host, Stella Cheeks, and with me, almost as always, is Marcus Benjamin. I guess you're always here. I was just not here last week.
So I'm not even going to start with my welcoming the people. I'm going to welcome you back. How are you, man? I missed you last week.
Oh, I mean, Sean's pretty good, but nobody can replace Stella Cheeks.
Exactly. That's the point. Like, Sean's great. Love Sean. Everyone loves Sean. But Sean knew. Even Sean knew, like, yeah, they're probably already going to turn off once they don't hear Stella. So it's fine. He knew the deal.
People get at me all the time when they're like, oh, I miss when Sean and Gino would do stuff. I miss when Sean and Gino ran the Twitter. I miss when Sean and Gino did a podcast. It's like, I love Sean and Gino too, but you're stuck with me, so deal with it.
Yeah, we're the new Sean and Gino. Deal with it, losers.
Dibs on Sean.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. You know what? That is quite okay, because Gino and I both share an affinity for not saying our thoughts about Nikita Lyons. There you go.
You guys always leave me out of that. I watch NXT too. I'm thirsty too. Come on, I want to be horny in the Slack too.
It's really nothing to do. It's just us saying, like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble. Yeah, like, that's it. It's just this understanding.
So, quick temp check, I guess. How are you feeling about wrestling? We were just grumbling before we started. This is a grumbly, even though actually a lot of stuff we wrote, I'm really excited to talk about, but it was hard to pick out the, like, good stuff for me, at least.
It's been a week of wrestling, and I'm saying that as a double entendre. It has been a week of wrestling. It's also been a week of wrestling. Like, good Lord, it's not been great. Even we were talking before we started the show. Hey, it was hard paying attention to Dynamite, and Dynamite was fine.
Yeah,
like, Dynamite's normally fine. It was just like, man, I don't have the energy for it. But we're going to find the energy. We picked the good things this week. We picked the exciting things. We picked the interesting things.
It's that post-Mania, like, lull, right? Like, it happens every year. Even when stuff is, like, not terrible, right? Like, it's just, there's so much energy and focus and excitement around Mania, whether it's good or bad. Like, it's WrestleMania. You're still excited. And then, like, it's a reset, right? So you have to wash your brain and be like, okay, we're starting from scratch. And it's hard a little bit, but it's getting there.
Yeah, everyone's finding their rhythm. We got WrestleMania Backlash coming up. I still can't believe they named it that.
I mean, it's the most appropriate pay-per-view because it's just the same matches that you saw at WrestleMania.
You're right. That's fair. But we didn't mention this we're not going to mention this, but I'm going to mention it real quick. It's something that I do feel good about this week when it comes to wrestling. AEW announced the title of their video game. I'm very excited about that. There you go.
What is
AEW
it?
AEW Fight Forever.
I like that. I don't play video games, but I like that.
Yeah, it's and they even got the crowd involved at Dynamite recently. So the chants that the crowd has, those are going to be the chants that are in the game. That's cool.
Oh, I love that. I really love that.
That's cool. Like, they got the crowd to chant, for Sting or for FTR or for Adam Cole or for the Hangman, and they were going to put in the video game. I'm like, oh, that's really decent, and that's a nice thing, and that's how you give back to the community, especially for a very anticipated game. So, you know what? Positivity. There you go.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I will not play it, but I'm excited for it.
You will hear all about it on this show. That's okay.
I have nothing against video games. I just get too scared and jumpy, and I can't pay attention because I'm like,
You should. That's me when I'm playing Resident Evil, which
do
is
love
why I've yet to finish. Those are fun and they're not scary
children.
like Resident Evil. No, forget that. I need to get that Skywalker Saga game right now. Children or no children, I don't care. I just bought a Buzz Lightyear today. I don't support children. I don't care.
I worked at a comic book shop all day. I bought toys and comic books.
Right,
I'm
we buy
literally wearing
toys on this show.
overalls. I look like a camp counselor.
I was going to wear my overalls today, but I didn't, and apparently I should have, and we would have been
Ugh,
matching. So yeah,
synergy.
I know, right? Yeah.
I like that we're like putting off talking about wrestling. We're just talking about like toys and nerd stuff. Let's talk about the news. The big news, obviously, that's very exciting.
Speaking of synergy, this one,
Yeah.
yeah.
AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling announced that they're going to have a joint pay-per-view on June 26th in my town. Definitely going to that. Called Forbidden Door. I'm pretty excited.
It's going to be a big show like that, and this is a long time coming. Even before the rumors that started last week before last, that this was going to be Tony's announcement. This was rumored what feels like forever ago.
Right. It feels like inevitable in a good way, right? Like New Japan and ROH had a deal for a really, really long time. A lot of the big name ROH people left and created AEW. Kenny Omega, huge New Japan star. The Young Bucks, huge New Japan stars. Like it just felt like, okay, this is happening eventually. And then especially now that AEW or Tony Khan bought ROH, like there's nothing stopping them, you know? And they've had New Japan wrestlers here and there. Like it is cool that it's official. Like we're getting it. There's so many cool different matchups that can happen. I'm very, very excited. I do hope that they still figure out how to have some women's wrestling because that is a big problem, New Japan wrestling. But you know, AEW hopefully won't be super dumb.
You know what? You mentioned that. How would you incorporate that? Because you're right. Like it's New Japan's not, they're not known for their women wrestling, and
Right. Well, I think the smart way to do it is like they'll do all of their, Marvel DC team ups, their AEW versus New Japan like team ups, and then they can just bring in some of the Japanese women that they've used in the past. Like it would be awesome if they brought like Maki Itoh or if they brought some other Japanese wrestlers over that we've not seen in AEW. Like hopefully they can work it out with their contract with New Japan. That's like, okay, this is mostly a New Japan show, but like if we, an American company, don't have any women's wrestling on this pay-per-view, it's going to be a big problem and it's going to look really
huge
bad. So
problem.
we have to figure something out.
Yeah, huge problem. And AEW doesn't need that smoke when they
No.
already get enough smoke for where are your women? Where are your women, man? What's going on with the women? Why don't you have
Yeah.
enough women? Like they get enough of that. They don't need
You
more of
said
that
it in like
on.
a voice where it made it seem like the people making those complaints were the problem, but like we're not.
No, that's just my voice for always. Just that's my imitation voice for
That's your
everyone.
Mark voice.
Yeah. I was just like, we're the women, man. But because they're right. And it's they don't need that when they're doing this huge, unprecedented thing.
Yeah.
You don't want that to be the takeaway because it'll wash away all the other goodwill and all the other good things, which
Right.
is unfortunate for everyone else. So yeah.
It's an easy preemptive PR move.
Well, as we talked about before, Tony Khan, best PR man in the business,
Well, he's
clearly knows
got
this.
the Internet Detective Agency getting on those bots. He's whatever. We can't talk about that man. All right, other kind of New Japan adjacent news. Kashida is done in NXT, and it looks like he's going back to New Japan. I am sad that Kashida didn't get to do amazing shit in WWE, but like it's unsurprising. And I'm excited that he gets to leave and go be amazing because Kashida is a phenomenal wrestler. He rules. And I'm excited that he gets to be that again.
There's going to be a lot of that in NXT 2.0. We can use this to, well, I know we're going to talk about NXT 2.0 later in full, but there's going to be a lot of that, and Kushida is unfortunately the next casualty of that.
Right.
We're not going to put you on the main roster. You don't really fit here anymore. We can't make you someone's manager. Shout out to LA Knight. So you're done, and it is just really it's really unfortunate how the direction of NXT shifted when they, for a couple of factors. One, them bringing Nick Khan in and just kind of shifting the entire vision of the company in a way.
Yeah.
And two, them putting NXT on USA for reasons that I still like. I get the reason. I get the like. We all
You
get
get
the
the bottom
reason.
line, you get the branding,
Yeah.
but, like, from a creative standpoint, like, they still treat it like developmental, which, like, it should be in many ways,
Hmm.
but then
Hmm.
it's also presented like the same level of the other
Yeah.
2 shows, and it's not even its own thing anymore, right? Like, because
Right.
NXT, like, Black and Gold or whatever, how we wanna talk about it, it really became its own thing, and now, I don't know, it feels like capital D developmental in a high school gym with,
Hmm.
like, fancy cameras. It's like
Hmm.
if the FTW days had, like, better cameras. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's or I mean it or like we've said before in our Slack, like it's attitude light just without the big stars.
which
Like
is a
it's
bummer because
just
there are some really good talents there, but those talents are being overshadowed by the frenetic nature of their show. There's so
hmm.
much packed in and yet not enough, and, like, I
Hmm.
don't know, we'll get to it later, but NXT is currently really dragging down my wrestling rating. Like,
And Kashida's a part of that. Him leaving is a part of that. It's just like, man, like you
I
need
liked
that
Jacket
goodwill.
Time.
Yeah. Like you need that goodwill and you're excising all these pillars of shout out to AEW, all these pillars of your company, well, of your
Right.
brand.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the next wave of, like, you were an indie star, we're not interested in indie stars.
Yep, pretty much.
So,
And that's unfortunate. And now, what is that? There's so many people who've made that jump from NXT when it was Black and Gold to the main roster, be it Raw or SmackDown, and the most recent call ups, I don't have any. Like, Sean and I talked about it last week. I don't really have any faith that these people are going to do well. Not, and it's not on them.
right.
It's just, yeah,
It's just the nature of the beast.
yeah.
I put this in the news because I just wanted to talk about it. Killer Cross and Scarlett got married in an elopement on a glacier, and it was cool as hell.
They got married on a glacier. See, I saw y'all talking about this, and I didn't bother with it because it's just been a hectic week. But they got married on a glacier.
Yeah, they're, like, in this, like, Iceland wonderland. It's cool. I don't know. Scarlett is somebody that if you have listened to Not Your Demographic in the past, I used to hate Scarlett. She came up in Chicago, like, indie wrestling. I used to hate her. And then when she was on Impact and she started doing her succubus, like, gimmick, I was like, oh, wait, she's a genius. I got played. She's been a genius this whole time. She's very good at this. Oh my God. And then, like, Killer Cross I liked him on Lucha Underground. I thought he was fine in Impact. He never really did it for me in WWE or
NXT.
NXT.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
But I still just, like, love Scarlett. And I just like the idea that they were like, we're gonna elope, but we're gonna do it really effing cool. Like, whatever. Wrestling weddings are great. And you know how you prevent shenanigans from happening at your wedding? Go to a
Doing a
glacier.
glacier. Yep, you're right. You go to a place where no one can bother you, no one can jump you, no one can hide under the ropes, no one can break their promises that they make to our truth.
Nobody
None of
jumps
those
out of a
things.
package.
Right. No one's waiting inside of a cake. Like none of
Nobody's
that.
gonna
Or
shove your face into a cake.
no one's going to steal your bride and marry and elope with her at a chapel o' love. Triple H did that to Stephanie for all you kids.
Ugh.
That was a storyline. Triple H, the leader of Degeneration X at the time,
But then he
stole
did it
Test,
in real life.
and then he did it in real life. Like he stole Stephanie from Test,
He stole her
married
heart.
her. Well, quote unquote stole. And of course, we would find out later he didn't steal her. It was all a plan. Ha 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 ha. And then they got married in real life. So happy ending. But forget them. Shout out to Killer Cross and Scarlett. I'm happy for you. Happy for you both. Happy for the glacier.
Happy for the
So
glaciers
yeah,
getting some
yeah,
press. Maybe people
yeah.
will, care about global warming.
Oh, it's a good thing that thing didn't sink while they were on it. Oof.
It's been like a wild couple weeks for wrestling weddings, and like Killer Cross and Scarlett was like, man, we're getting married really close to Carmella and Corey and Alexa and that singer. What's his name? Ryan? I don't know. I don't listen
I
to
don't
that
know. I don't know
music.
the guy name. Yeah, I don't know the guy.
And they were like, how do we get the attention? Married on a glacier.
They should have gotten married in the Ice Palace from Die Another Day, the James Bond movie.
Terrible
That's what they
movie,
should have did.
dope set.
Yes, yes.
That scene where
Yes.
Madonna is like teaching him how to fence. Oh, terrible. That movie is terrible. But it has got a cool set.
And then she has that line of I don't get involved in cockfights.
Forgot about that. And then Pierce Brosnan puts diamonds in Halle Berry's belly button.
And then the innuendos, like just that script is just basically innuendo.
I mean, it's a James Bond movie.
Hey, as a James Bond fanatic, as you know that I am, they can at least we're both fanatics, you're right.
Yeah.
So they can at least put some actual dialogue.
Yeah.
Between the innuendo. Like even Roger Moore had some, like character development words. It wasn't just.
Did you say even sex. Roger Moore? Like Roger Moore was a bad James Bond?
Roger Moore's not my favorite Bond. You know this. He's not my favorite
Roger
Bond.
Moore is my favorite Bond, so screw you.
Well, look, we'll get Daniel Craig on this podcast and he'll talk about that.
Yeah, but like Daniel Craig kind of exists in his own, like it's a different whatever. This is not a James Bond podcast.
Okay. Tune in for the sequel to this, James Bond. That's
it. Speaking of weddings, speaking of Alexa Bliss, the rumor is Alexa Bliss is pissed.
As she should be. And for those of you who don't read the site, much like we don't read our site, because that's the rule, we can't read our own site. Alexa is apparently pissed because creative ain't got nothing for her. Who knew?
I would be mad too.
I'd be mad too if you dragged me to Saudi Arabia for
you made me do all of those awkward therapy things.
Yep. And again, you dragged me to Saudi Arabia. You didn't drag me to Wyoming. You didn't drag me to Texas. You didn't even tell me. And she apparently, the rumor is she was at Mania. Like she was there, at least in Texas. And they were just like, shrug, we can't do nothing. And there was a rumor that they thought about including her with Becky and Bianca.
I mean, I'm glad they didn't do that, but like they have to figure out something with her. I mean, there's no tag teams. Come up with a tag team. I don't know. Figure it out. Like you guys are getting paid money to write.
Yeah, like
she's one of your biggest like female stars. Yeah. Figure it out.
And it's not like, I mean, the funny thing about it. So I'm going to connect this rumor with the other rumor. Is that we are getting Sonya Deville and Bianca Belair. Because they don't want to immediately rush to Becky again and Bianca again. Well, why don't you just get Alexa then, and you don't have to worry about that? Like, or they want Sonya to be the placeholder for the newly turned heel Rhea Ripley. Okay, again, but you still have Alexa, who could be the in between. Like, it's almost like. They intentionally and they're not immune. They're not the only company that does this. AEW does this at times too, where the obvious answer is right there in front of you, and you're just like, nah, let's not do that. Let's do the other thing. Like, but why? It's right there. So yeah, if I were Alexa, I'd be hot, very hot.
I'm hot as somebody who watches it. I like Alexa Bliss. I want her to come back.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that. She gets a reaction from the crowd. Like Sonya gets a reaction because she's a heel and because she was wearing her jacket. But Alexa gets like a reaction all the time. Like and I think Alexa and Bianca would be cool to see.
It would be that'd really
be different. Cool. Yeah, that'd be different. That's it. They're both really good on the mic. They're good in the ring. There's an interesting story to tell there. And they would actually maybe we might see another persona with Alexa, if you put her against Bianca, there's just I don't know. Look, I feel like if the two of us can write it right now,
figure it out. The other rumor that I have is that the reason we haven't seen Bray Wyatt in any other company is because his asking price is too high.
Yeah, I read that and I said, that is a man who, again, we talked about on this show.
You got to know your worth, but you also have to know your worth.
Exactly.
Right?
Know your worth, know your value. So don't work for pennies, but also be real with yourself.
Yeah.
Come on, bruv. As the London Brits would say. Come on, bruv.
Mm-hmm. As the London Brits would say.
Yep, the London Brits. Yep, that their redundancies would say. Just come on, man. Like you've been out of wrestling it's been.
couple years.
It feels like it's been 2 years. It feels like it's been a year now, right? A year and a half at least.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
Here's
so
the
you've been
thing,
out for a
Bray
year and a half.
Wyatt is great at character work. He's great on the mic. He's never really super impressed me in the ring. And like, if you are going to other companies where wrestling is more important, then perhaps it is in WWE. Like, you gotta be realistic.
Plus, AEW kind of already has their spooky thing.
Yeah,
They
they don't
got
really
they
need.
got they got House of Black. As much as House of Black can be pretentious and annoying, they got House of Black. They're doing the
Right.
spooky thing.
And Bray Wyatt isn't somebody that you bring in to be an acolyte, right? He has
No.
leader vibes.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, well, who would he lead?
Exactly.
What is he doing? There's like he waited so long, and he basically priced himself out of the market by there being no place for him now, and that's unfortunate, but that's what happens.
Sounds like he's going to need to control his narrative.
Oh god, that's where he's going to end up, isn't it? He's going to end up right
Uh,
there. Oh god, it's going to be
I was trying to explain control your narrative to the person I work with at the comic book shop, and I was like, okay, you know how like some people read Fight Club and they understand that it's a
oh my
parody,
god.
and they understand that like Chuck Palahniuk's a gay man, and it's about like what masculinity and commercialism does in our culture. Yeah, you know that, and then how there are people who read Fight Club and they're like, yeah, fucking Tyler Durden rules. Like that's
So
EC3, and I'm hoping is, to me, when he started the control your narrative,
mhm,
it's like, okay, he understands it's kind of like a meta thing, kind of like it's like a
mhm,
joke, but it's not a joke, whatever.
mhm,
And then he brought in a
mhm.
bunch of people who are like, yeah, Fight Club's my favorite movie. And then EC3 is like, oh no, what did I do? I'm stuck doing this.
So I made all these noises while you were talking because I swear we are cosmically connected. I had pretty much the same conversation yesterday. Not, but it wasn't about wrestling. It was Fight Club and Moon Knight. We're gonna quick detour here, quick people. Just it's our show. Quick detour.
The title of this episode is Quick Detour.
Yeah. So explaining to a friend of mine, we were talking about Moon Knight. It was a couple of us actually, and he said, "Well, I've seen the personality disorder thing, multiple personality thing done better in other movies like Fight Club." And I was like, "Yeah, but Fight Club and Moon Knight aren't doing the same thing. Like they're not
No.
like so to say you've seen it done better. It doesn't make sense." I was like, Fight Club's not treating the disorder. I mean, sorry, Moon Knight's not treating the disorder like it's not a parody or a satire of it. Like the
It's
narrator
superhero
Jack,
nonsense.
yeah, the narrator Jack in Fight Club is a joke because he's supposed to be a joke because it's this idea of poking fun at this 20th century Generation X guy who's just like, man, we didn't fight a war. What's real masculinity? We're not tough. We're not like our dads. It's that crap. Whereas Moon Knight, he's he is fine. Yeah, he's got his multiple personality thing, but he's fine. He's not the joke because of it. You're laughing with him rather than laughing at him like Jack. And you're not idolizing Tyler Durden or idolizing Mark Spector. You're not supposed to, but obviously some people idolize Tyler Durden, but Mark Spector's just you're like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be Mark. That's the way it's supposed to be. And it's just like he didn't make that connection. And he was still like, well, Oscar Isaac said it's like Fight Club meets Indiana Jones. I'm like, yeah, as a
Yeah,
shorthand, sure, it's like
don't
that.
talk to celebrities.
Right. Also that. I'm like, well, one, he's trying to sell you on the show. And two, yeah, as a shorthand, that makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, it's like Fight Club because it's a thing where you got one personality who has a contentious relationship with another personality. But to compare Moon Knight and Fight Club, dude, that's like comparing basketball and baseball. Like, no. Yeah, they both have ball in the title, but they're not the same at all. But yeah, just again, people know your literature. That's all I'm saying.
You ready for the seamless transition?
Yes, I am. It's been great.
What if Elias and Ezekiel is like Fight Club?
Ha ha. Fantastic.
So what's living rent
Oh
free in
boy.
my head this week is the best segment ever,
Yes.
where
Yes.
Kevin Owens,
Yes.
on his crusade to prove that Ezekiel is actually Elias and is not
Mm-hmm.
Elias's younger brother, he
Mm-hmm.
had a lie detector test. And to administer the lie detector test is the smartest person on the roster with a 2.0, I mean a 4.0 GPA.
Four.
Chad Gable administer it. And
Mm-hmm.
that segment, when silly wrestling is good, oh man, it's so good. That segment was
It's the
perfect. All
best.
three of those performers were their comedic timing, spot on, funny.
Yep.
Chad Gable in his Letterman cardigan with no shirt on and his glasses, trying to explain how a lie detector test works to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens like mumbling under his breath. Ezekiel just no selling the whole thing and being like, I am Ezekiel. And also Ezekiel passing the lie detector test.
He passed with flying colors. Like not even, like he completely passed. Yeah.
And everybody around Kevin being like, I don't know, this is Ezekiel, Elias's younger brother. Even Sami Zayn on Twitter last week, Kevin was like, at Sammy, like, I'm gonna need you to help me. All these people are lying. And Sami Zayn was like, believe in yourself, or like, believe in your truth, prove your truth. Like, I'm here to support you, though. I gotta say, I think that guy is just Ezekiel. Like, everyone not giving in to Kevin and Kevin being like the only sane person in the insane asylum is incredible. My only complaint about this, and I mean, this is an evergreen complaint because I have nothing but complaints about Jerry Lawler. But Jerry
Oh
Lawler was
yes.
being like, well, that's clearly Elias. That's clearly Elias. And I was like, you're ruining this. The whole point is that Kevin is the only one. That's the point. You actually have no comedic timing. You've never had any comedic timing. You're terrible. I cannot wait for Corey Graves to come back. And that is a thing that I hate that I just said
I
out
was about to say
loud.
those are words I never thought I'd hear you say ever.
But like, that was my only complaint about that segment, where I was like, Jerry, shut your dumb mouth. You're ruining it. You don't understand the joke. But the three wrestlers in the ring, so good. Kevin Owens is one of my favorites. I say it all the time. He's on my short list of celebrity men that I would trust with my drink. Like, he is the best. And I love that no matter what that they give him, whether it's your besties with Seth Rollins now, or you're randomly going up against Roman Reigns, or hey, you're with Chris Jericho, or here's the Universal title, or whatever. Like, here's a silly gimmick with Ezekiel and Elias. Like, I like Elias or Ezekiel, whatever. He's a good performer, but he's never been amazing to me. He can get some stuff over. Obviously, people love to yell "Walk with Elias" or
No,
what was it?
Speak with Zeke.
Speak with Zeke, yeah. But Kevin Owens is the like secret sauce that is making this work at the level that it's working at. It was really good. And I also love gimmicks and segments where like two heels who are not fighting each other and are not in the same like division or in the same, the same realm work together. I really love that. So I loved that, like, Chad, he's in the tag division, and Kevin is in the mid card right now, and like them combining their heel powers to like make this segment work was great. And Chad Gable, we've talked about for several weeks. Like, his comedic timing, it was just good for a segment that on paper, if you try to explain it to somebody who hasn't watched wrestling in a couple of years and you said, here's one of the best things happening, you would sound like a crazy person. But it's really good. Kevin Owens, chef kiss. I love him.
I gotta say, you said everything. Look, it was great. It was my favorite part of Raw on Monday.
Hands down.
Like, easily. Kevin's
Which,
fantastic.
the fact
Chad
that it was the best part, and there was like a crazy ass fun
there
wedding.
Was a crazy
too.
wedding, right? With the best
and
parts
it
of
still
Raw.
was the best part.
The best parts of Raw weren't the wrestling. It had nothing to do with the wrestling. It was all it was the shenanigans. But Kevin sells it, and Chad's. First of all, let me get to these sweaters real quick.
I want this.
So once again, show everyone how Stella and I are connected. We were the only ones in our Slack being like, we want those sweaters.
Yeah, we want the cardigans. I want a Chase U sweater, and I want an Alpha Academy Letterman cardigan.
Yeah. WWE, come on. Like, what are you doing? And like, you're sitting on gold. Like, we know you love selling merch. I get those text messages every time there's a sale. Come on. Just do the right thing. Anyway, and Chad with the glass.
The glasses.
The glasses killed me. He's sitting there and just he just, and he was looking down on them too, so they weren't even completely on his face.
Very good.
He just knows what he's doing. Kevin, and then whenever Ezekiel, I'm using quotations, terrible radio, did the "Who Wants to Speak with Zeke" thing, Kevin immediately said, "No, don't do that. That's just walk
like
with the
other
lines."
thing. That's the same thing.
It is. So when I was in high school, my friends and I went, a movie that we quoted endlessly was Zoolander, and Kevin just
We're
reminds
of
me
that
of
age.
Yeah, Kevin reminds me of Mugatu right now, of just being like, Blue Steel, Magnum, it's the same look. It's all one look. Am I the only one taking crazy pills here? Like, yeah, it's like everyone else was just like, no, Derek has multiple looks. What are you talking about? And he's like, no, he doesn't. It's the same thing. This is that, and I love it, and I love everyone involved. I know they eventually have to have a match. I kind of don't want them to.
Yeah, I want this to go on for way too long. I want it to be one of those jokes that's like funny, and then it's not funny anymore, and then it goes past absurdity and is funny again. Like, I want that.
Yep, I agree. That's What else you got?
What is living rent free in your head?
We're going to me. Man. Well, this is living rent free in my head because it's so interesting how it happened. Sammy Guevara is now a heel. Now, Sammy Guevara was one of the most beloved wrestlers in AEW.
Right.
I mean, just Sammy came out and the crowd just went gaga for Sammy. His music's
Especially
great.
after he left Jericho and the Inner Circle. It's like, okay, I'm going on my own. I'm a face now. I don't want any of your nonsense.
Right. And then he hooks up with Ty Conti. Well, hook up, that's terrible. Him and Ty Conti start dating.
He literally hooks up with Ty Conti.
Yeah. In front of everyone. Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing, is that what turned him heel is that basically he and Ty Conti are obnoxious with their relationship. And I just
They're young and hot, and people are threatened by that.
Yeah, and I just find it's so weird to me. Like, because I just come like, so is the relationship is the thing that made him heel now? And everyone in the Slack was like, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, well, okay. I mean, fans are what they are. We like what we like. We don't like what we don't like. Cool, whatever those reasons are. But it's just so weird. But I love that they're just leaning into it. It's one of those things where AEW, even at this point in its lifespan, is smart enough to know when something's working and when something's not, and what the direction of this thing needs to go.
Yeah.
They saw that Sammy and Ty were getting terrible reactions from the crowd. They saw that the crowd, understandably so, booed their tonguing each other down. I mean, like, good Lord. Like, look, I'm not a prude. I'm all about the PDA, but that looks disgusting what you two are doing on television. Like, God, like, they're eating each other. And the crowd is just saying, nah, we don't like this. And I still can't really put my finger on why. And it's the most fascinating thing to me, because it's just like, so is it the relationship? Is it the obnoxiousness? Is it both? Is it because he was with, his fiance who he proposed to on television, and then they break up and now he's with Ty? Like, is it that? Is it her? Like, I don't know what it is. And then miraculously, America's Top Team are like faces now?
That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. I agree with everything that you're saying about, like, okay, we're listening to the crowd, like, people want to boo Sammy, we'll make him heel, whatever. But, like, in no world, even me, even if you take me, Dan Lambert hating, like, whatever, out of the equation, these gentlemen and Paige are not faces. They haven't been presented as faces, period, full stop, for forever. Dan Lambert cut the, like, most gross offensive, like, promos. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page as men of the year are not faces. They're just not. And so, like, if this
watching
is a
Dynamite
heel
last
versus
night.
right, if this is a heel versus heel, but it's not even being presented as heel versus heel because then Dan Lambert and Scorpio Sky are like, well, you're leaving your fans who loved your YouTube channel behind. And how dare
Right.
you talk negatively to these people? And it's like, okay, I can swallow a lot. I can understand do with that as you will. I can like suspend my disbelief, like whatever. I cannot suspend my disbelief to the level that I am supposed to believe that American Top Team, Dan Lambert, Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page are faces. I just can't. And I
I
refuse to.
agree. I agree. And I was really, really confused by that last night. Just like, hold up. What? So now they're good guys? And I got Scorpio, like you said, Scorpio's coming out talking about Sammy turning his back on the fans. Dan Lambert, the guy who came out and disrespected the fans every single week,
Right.
who said, oh, he's surprised they all were able to get tickets and come to this show and leave their parents' basement. That guy is now sticking up for them. Like there's a way to do this and not do that. Even if
Right.
it was going to be Scorpio, I mean, even Scorpio reached out to Frankie last night, which I was also like, what is happening?
Yeah, it doesn't they got to figure something else out for it to make sense. Like if honestly if they want Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky or if they want Scorpio Sky to be a face, they have to not have him with Dan Lambert anymore.
Exactly.
Dan Lambert
Exactly.
since the moment he has come into AEW has done nothing but shit on the AEW fans and has
Yep.
been nothing that American Top Team's better, MMA's better, my people are better, I'm the best. Like it just you just can't, if they want to turn him face, which like okay whatever, but like it has to happen gradually. It just can't be like oh we flipped it, like that's not gonna work. And if you want Scorpio
No.
Sky to be a face, you really gotta like get him away from Dan Lambert.
Yeah, like I got no problem with Scorpio making amends, as it were, and sort of doing his apology tour, quote unquote apology tour for the fans with Frankie Kazarian, all of that. Like, no problem at all. No problem, even no problem with Ethan becoming a face if that's what they want to do. They want to turn
Yeah.
men of the year into faces? Cool, fine. Ethan can do a face promo. He's already done the whole thing about his kids and all that. Cool, great. Dan is not it. And I definitely
Yeah.
can't have a guy come out talking about Sammy disrespecting a title. Dude, you wore a title for a heel move to disrespect it. You weren't the television champion, but you wore that television championship that you didn't win. Like, nah, I didn't. So it's just that entire thing is fascinating to me for a bevy of reasons. Yes, I said bevy. It's like it's just so weird and yet so like it's one of those things where I'm like I can't look away from it even when I'm like this doesn't make any sense, but I am drawn to this. Like I'm just confused.
Well, I guess we'll have to keep watching to figure it out. Maybe they'll never figure it
Yeah.
out. Maybe we never will. But we have to keep watching because
Well,
it's
I'm
how we
sure
bring in this
TK,
podcast.
and I'm sure TK says we have a plan. I'm sure TK's, him and his crack team of bots and PR people, they're working on a plan.
So we have one question from a listener right here in Chicago whose name is also Stella. That's so weird. It just says, Marcus, why is NXT so bad?
I'm assuming Stella's asking me this because I review NXT for the site on a weekly
Yeah.
basis. So
Stella
that's
loves to read your reviews and stuff. Look, we didn't
that's
have a
fair.
question and I didn't want to make one up. And I am really mad that NXT is so bad because I don't want to watch anymore. That's how bad it is. It's not even like, oh, okay. Like, when I watch Raw, it's like, okay, like there's something about watching Raw for years and years and years. It's like, it's just a part of my dumb identity. Like, even when it's
Right.
bad, like it's Raw, whatever, there's usually something I like. It's a part of the ethos of wrestling, blah, blah, blah. NXT is the longest 2 hours of my week. Even the things I like are not enough to keep it afloat. It just is a constant like I was mad that TK didn't announce a new ROH show because I wanted there to be a new weekly ROH show so I could be like, can I watch that instead of NXT? Like, I don't want to watch this show anymore. And I'm upset that I don't want to watch the show anymore. But like, I don't care. And it's so bad.
It is, well, we talked about this a little bit, prior to this. It is the way it is because they seemingly they've settled on a vision and that vision is going to be development with a capital D, like you said. But it's like, okay, this most recent episode of NXT crystallizes everything that's terrible about NXT 2.0. The Braun Breaker
Ugh.
Joe Gacy saga, right, is stupid. And I write every week why it's stupid. And this is my issue with NXT overall, and I can use this to encapsulate it. Joe Gacy challenges Braun. Joe Gacy wants to challenge Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship. Fine, that's cool. If Joe Gacy watches NXT on a weekly basis like you and I do, he would know all you have to do is ask Braun. He'll give you a championship title shot. Like, he'll give you a shot. That's it. Anyone who's wanted to fight Braun for that championship, they just ask him. He gives it to him. Like, that's who Braun is. Braun's gonna be like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
you
I'll
didn't need
fight
to
you."
capture his dad and then release him without. That's another thing.
Right,
It's like they set up all these storylines and then they don't actually follow through on them. So it's
right.
like for 2 hours you are barraged with gimmicks and storylines, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like every 30 seconds it feels like you're switching to a new character. It is so exhausting, but then half of it's not even followed up on. So it's like, what am I supposed to be paying attention to? And I get that
Yep.
they're trying stuff out, but like you're trying stuff out on it's like constantly watching like a comedian work out their next 5 minutes and it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm. Kidnapping Braun's dad, Rick Steiner, letting him go off camera, I might add. Not even, so we
Mm-hmm.
don't even get to see this. And then sending Braun on a wild goose chase for a ring? Like, now, I'm not disrespecting their Hall of Fame. I'm not disrespecting the work that the Steiner brothers did to get there, even though, the Hall of Fame is basically Vince saying, I want you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's not the
Right.
NFL Hall of Fame. It's not, but I'm not disrespecting the work that the Steiners put in for their career. Not at all. But I refuse to believe that the more compelling story is Braun chasing down his dad's ring instead of Braun chasing down his dad. Like, I refuse to believe that. There's
But Braun
nothing to.
just was like, my dad's back at home, I guess.
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, everything's cool." I'm just like, "What?
My
Hold
dad's
up."
like mad. He really wants his ring back.
Right. It's just like, so your show. So the show ends with this cliffhanger of Rick Steiner in a cage, and then the next week Rick Steiner's just home. That's dumb. And then, but wait, it got dumber. So Braun's chasing Joe Gacy in this ring the entire episode. And the episode ends with Joe Gacy in front of the NXT crowd telling Braun, "Hey man, you want me? Here I am." Braun comes out and he says, "I'll give you the ring. All you had to do was ask." Dumb. And then he says, "But on one condition, I want a title shot." Dude, you could have asked him that
Right. Braun's like,
2
yeah,
weeks ago.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever, man. Cool, I'll fight you. Braun wants to fight everybody anyway. Whatever. And then he pushes Braun and says you take a leap of faith. And now Joe Gacy has druids. And these
Yeah, he
druids
went to
just,
like from like making fun of liberals to having like a vaguely slash not vaguely kind of white supremacist vibe to
uh-huh.
now he's a spooky magic guy. Like what the
Yeah,
fuck?
and so to your point about characters and gimmicks being introduced every 30 seconds, they're retooling characters while like in like, on the go.
Yeah.
So where was Harlan?
NXT needs dress rehearsals. They
Yeah,
they
like it's
can't be on USA and be presented as, one of the three brands and constantly feel like I don't know what's going on even though I watch every single week. Like that is
right.
exhausting. And also like NXT is confusing to me because if I sat down, if I was you and I was writing the recap, I have positive things to say about a lot of stuff that is happening on NXT, but it is
Hmm.
still so frenetic because it's not a show that's terrible, right? It's not that I
Mm,
hate everything that's happening, and I understand that they do have to try new stuff out. They try new stuff out on the like main roster and stuff. Like it doesn't always
hmm.
work, whatever. But it's just so much, and that's like it's like being like tortured with like bright lights and moving pictures and being like, I don't know where to look. I don't know where my focus is supposed to be. I don't know what I'm supposed to care about. I don't know who I'm supposed to care about. I don't know who I'm allowed to invest in because I don't know who's going to get fired in a day. Like,
that's a good point.
It's exhausting. Like grizzled young vets, right? I was like, oh man, I love grizzled young vets. I really hope that they get like wins soon. Like they're such a good tag team. And then in like an offstage promo that was shot on Twitter, they were like, we're leaving, and we're left to know, like, are they leaving because their contracts are up? Are they being rebranded? Are they going to the main roster? It's like, nope, we're goodbye.
Was that one of their digital exclusives? Was that what that was? See, here, okay, there's something else I want to talk about that. There was a digital exclusive on NXT on Tuesday of Santos Escobar responding to Carmelo's and Trick's digital exclusive. It's like, hold on, what kind of inception is this?
Yeah.
So we got a digital exclusive of a man responding to another digital exclusive. What? That doesn't make any sense. Like it's just little stuff like that where it's like, that's not how television works. And one thing that I stressed early when I started reviewing any of this stuff is that I'm reviewing it like a television show.
Yeah, because it should be.
It's a television show. If you were watching a television show and all these things that we just named happened, you know, and if you're me or you, I can't speak for the taste of everyone, but if you're me or you, you'd be like, nah, this is stupid. This doesn't make any sense. Why is this happening to Jerry Seinfeld? I don't understand this at all. Like, you're just like, why is this happening? You know, now if the show was 30 Rock, okay. It's absurd. I can get with that. But again, that's presentation. NXT isn't presenting itself as an absurdist wrestling show. Like, I don't expect to see, for instance, Danhausen in NXT 2.0. But I expect logic, and the show doesn't have its own. Every show, every movie, every whatever needs to have its own governing rules for its universe.
Right.
NXT does not have that currently.
Yeah. NXT
And
2.0 or whatever.
Yeah, NXT 2.0 does not. Black and Gold did. Rainbow splat color NXT does not. And until they figure out what those governing rules are and what the rules of the road for everyone is, it's always going to be this inconsistent show where there will be bright spots, like some of the matches, some of the character work, specifically Lash Legend and Nikita. Even Tiffany Stratton is doing great character work.
I really like. That's the thing. Like, I'm really coming around on Tiffany Stratton. I like her.
Yes,
her gimmick is annoying, but it's consistent. The theme song slaps. She's pretty good in the ring. Every time she's in the ring, it's better. Like, I like it, but it's also like 30. No, it's like 5 minutes out of a 2-hour show that feels like it's 15 hours.
Exactly, and that's the issue, is that all the really good stuff or the really interesting stuff doesn't last that long. Like, even not this recent episode, the episode before this one. So last week, where Nikita got bicycle kicked by Lash Legend.
Amazing.
That was great, but it was like it was 10 seconds of 2 hours, but that was great. Or even this week when Nikita shows up and steps to Natty and tells Natty she's flexible.
Like, a sharpshooter ain't gonna do shit to me.
Right. She was like, I'm flexible. You figure that out. Do with that what you will. Oh, I'm gonna do a lot with that. Thank you very much. But like, it's like these pockets of, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's dope. Oh, that's interesting. And then the rest is Braun chasing Joe Gacy through a hall of mirrors.
Yeah, but it's also hard too, because it's like those little things, right? That you're like, okay, I can get behind this, but there is no guarantee that next week I turn on NXT and Tiffany Stratton's not going to be like the president of her like goth book club. Like, who knows? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's not safe to invest in things. It's not safe to like care about things. So my emotional attachment to things and my caring about things is pretty low, because for the past year or so, I've been like, I've watched all the people that I had emotional attachments to either go to the main roster or leave. And I am being constantly introduced to new people that I am more or less being told don't matter, or if they do matter, it's in like gimmicks that are frankly not working for me. So it's just been tough. It is just a long 2 hours.
Well, Stella from Chicago, I hope we answered your question.
I think she feels satisfied. If you
Much like
don't want to
Tiffany
hear more
Stratton.
questions
Yeah.
from Stella from Chicago or from Marcus in, where are you right now? Didn't you move?
Maryland. Yeah,
Marcus
I'm
in
still in
Maryland.
Maryland. I'm just in my old bedroom. It's really weird. Yeah.
But you don't have any cool
Yeah.
posters or anything up.
Well, because it hasn't been my bedroom in a long time, so now it's just a guest room.
Your parents
Yeah,
didn't leave up your cool, I'm gonna
sure didn't.
guess.
Spider-Man, nope.
Yeah. I was like trying to think of something funny. My room was decked out in Spice Girls posters, but that's just me.
I can see that. There was definitely, so there was a Nas poster up here. There was a Wu poster. There was a Spider-Man. Um, and then yeah, once I moved out, I was just like, all right, I snatched them all. And then my dad came in here and just basically repainted it and put new. It's weird. It's only for a couple months. It's fine. Yeah,
Your parents said no nostalgia.
pretty
All right.
much. Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, it's not a Dan Lambert situation where Marcus is living with his parents. He's buying it. He's waiting for his house to be built. Marcus is legit, okay? Don't worry about Marcus.
Yeah. I'm fine. Yeah, Dan Lambert, don't come for me, bruv. We're fine. All right. Yeah, we're good.
All
We're good.
right, lightning round. The first thing I want to talk about is Britsburg. There is
Yes.
nothing like Brit Baker in Pittsburgh. It effing rules. It rules
It is
so
electric.
hard. I
Yes.
love how much they pop for her. I love how she doesn't come out and like shit on them. I think it's great. Also, like, I don't know Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're a football team.
Yes, they are. They are
Nailed
not just a
it.
football team. They are Sean's favorite football team.
Okay.
Mhm.
But the fact that those two guys who are people on the team that people seem to like, and they came out with her as her like cheerleaders essentially, and how they were like legitimately excited for her and legitimately excited to be in the ring and support her. They weren't just there to be like, yeah, my manager said this would be good PR or whatever. Like they were excited for the crowd. They were excited for AEW. They were excited for Britt. And, you know, it was just cool that like NFL big time dudes came to support this like women in wrestling or woman in wrestling. Like the power of Britt Baker is something that has been awesome to watch. As somebody who like watched her in like little in the Eagles Club in Berwyn and like had to tell my grandma to like hurry up, move, because her and Chelsea Green were like fighting in the bleachers and be like, Grandma, you gotta move, they're coming in the bleachers. Like to see her in like those situations now, to be literally a pillar of that company and one of the most famous and best women's wrestlers, like that's cool. And like I missed not having her on TV. And I know people complain, they're like, oh, Britt's the only one that gets TV time. And like I understand those complaints and I do get them logically, because like they should write better stuff for other people and like they do have a lot of talent that they don't use. But like Britt is also sort of on her own level, and it was just fun to see her back. And like it made me want to go to Pittsburgh. I want to hang out in Britsburg. Like she's great.
Britt in Pittsburgh reminds me of Brett in Canada. Like that's what it is. It's that euphoric. It's just like, yo, matter of fact, I'm not even just Brett in Canada. I'm going to tell a little anecdote, and it's something that I keep thinking about. And Britt's reaction last night is perfect for this. So, my older sister, and I mean sister in quotation marks, we're just really close, but like we claim each other. My older sister and I went to see a concert in November. It was the what was it? It was the Lyricist Lounge concert. So it was old school. Slick Rick, Rakim, KRS-One, DJ Jazzy Jeff on the turntables. Jazzy Jeff is incredible. Anyway, KRS-One was the headliner, right? And now, so I like KRS-One. I know KRS-One's legend. There are a couple KRS-One songs that I fuck with. But I didn't know KRS's fan base and just his fandom was that serious until he showed up. So the entire show, like Rakim's come out already, Slick Rick didn't really do great. Jazzy Jeff is entertaining everybody in the turntable, but everybody's there for KRS-One apparently. Like I'm just looking at the crowd and just feeling it. Even my sister, like she's all KRS-One is her. Like that's her everything. And KRS comes out, and Stella and audience, like no joke, everyone stood on their feet for 45 minutes. Like no one sat down. No, and they knew the words to every song. I don't just mean the singles. like The Bridge Is Over or Step Into a World. And they knew this. They knew the words to every single song this man did, all of them. And I was just like, yo, this is insane. And that's how it is with Britt, where it's just people like she comes to Pittsburgh and it's like it's rock star. Like she is a rock star in that town. And it doesn't surprise me that the Steelers organization would be like, yo, yeah, cool. Like they got to know who she is in that town.
Hell
They
yeah.
have to. And while the complaints about her being one of the few women who get TV time consistently, like you said, yes, those are valid complaints. But the thing is, Britt is the star of that division. That's not to say she's going to be the only star. That's not to say she's the only star right now. I think Jade is quickly moving up to that level. But Britt right now is queen. Like not just queen. Like you could make an argument. Britt is actually the biggest wrestler on the roster in AEW. Period. You could make an argument for
she's
that.
one of the. Well, I mean, it's not gonna be like bigger than somebody like Punk or whatever, but like
Right. Yeah. As soon as I said, I was
but
like, yeah,
she's one
Punk's
of.
there.
That's
It's like,
why they
okay.
call her like the pillar. Like that is right.
Right.
That is 100% true.
Let me rephrase it then. She's the biggest homegrown star in that company.
Yeah, I would say probably because she was not
Yeah.
bigger. She didn't really come from anywhere else,
Mm-mm.
like Bucks and blah 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 did.
Yeah. So no, and what I love about it is that she's only a face when she comes to Pittsburgh, and even then, she's not really a face.
She's just like, we're better. All of us in Pittsburgh are better than all of you.
Exactly, and
But
it's
she's
really
like
dope. Yeah.
a heel for them. It's great. I love it.
Which again goes back to the Brett and Canada thing. Brett would go to Canada and just yep, America sucks. It's a toilet bowl. Yeah, and they'd all be like, yeah, you're right, Hitman. Yeah. So my lightning round. Woo, mine. All right. So I was going to talk about Nikita and Lash, and then I was thinking about it. I was like, no. There's something much better to talk about. So last week on Dynamite, no, was it? Yes, it was Dynamite. It was either Dynamite or Rampage. Wrestling blends together. Jade had her baddie section, and in her baddie section was Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet.
Yeah.
And we all kind of went, oh, well, that's interesting. And we were like, well, would they be a stable or are these two just showing up? And we were like, well, they'd have to explain it, because Jade and Red Velvet got beef. And it was like, okay, maybe it was a one-time thing. Then they did an Instagram post together, the three of them dancing, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I liked it for several reasons. I'm not going to go into all of them on this show. Stella and I will go into them later in our Slack.
But it is awesome to see a potential stable full of like badass black women.
That's where I was going. That was the first reason why I was like, oh. And then they showed up together again last night on Dynamite. And the funniest part about it was Kiera and Red Velvet eating popcorn.
Yeah, they're like
while booing. Right. I loved it. And I was just like, I didn't know I wanted this, but now this is all I want.
Yeah, this is what I want.
This stable of these three women who are all good wrestlers, who are all powerful women, who are just like, yeah, you know what? We should be a crew. Why not?
Also, like, Jade is a wrestler that like deserves lackeys. Like, it makes sense. Like, Britt has lackeys. They have similar vibes. Like, I like it.
Yeah, and even then, like, but Kiera and Red are not like, they're not lackey, but they're like, they can hold their own, but they clearly like, oh well, she's the queen bee. Cool, all right, we can hover around her, and that makes like I've said this for weeks. You've said this. The Mark Sterling thing, we need to be done with that.
I don't know. I do love her just being like, shut up, Mark.
It's funny, yes, but he makes more sense with Tony Nese.
Agreed.
He makes more sense. He makes more sense with MJF of just like this swarmy little lawyer that MJF just call and be like, "Hey, Mark, I need you to do a thing for me." Like that makes all the sense in the world.
Right.
But with Jade, it's just like the inner, like, yes, there is this. I love this part where, and you pointed this out, where you do have this black woman dominating over this white man. And he's just basically like, yes, ma'am, I'll do what you want. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, great. No
but it's one note. We don't have to hit that note forever.
Yes, and I think Jade has graduated beyond that, and that's the main point. And she's graduated beyond that into developing her own crew now, and I think calling them baddies
Yeah, a
if
crew
they
is a
decide
better
to
way
go
to
that
describe
route.
it than like lackeys.
Yeah, like her own crew of just women who are just like, yo, let's just be better than everybody. Like that's it. That's all they're doing. They're just like, let's just be better. Like we're hotter than everybody. Let's just be better than everybody too. Cool. And we can just boo all these people who aren't worth our time. Like if they could almost be the opposite to the Blackpool Club, where the Combat Club just wants to fight everybody. For
Yeah.
like, doesn't matter what you want.
They're
Who
like,
we
"We're the
fighting today?
best wrestlers. We're the
Right.
best wrestlers." And then the baddies can just be like, "Yeah, well, we're just the best."
Yeah, and we don't need to waste our time with certain people. So like y'all want to fight everybody, cool, cool, cool. We're gonna pick our fights because we don't really have time for them. We got stuff to do. And I
We got
love
popcorn
that.
to
Like
eat.
I right. I wish we got more of that from Hill wrestlers where they really were just on some I don't really have time to deal with you today. I got other stuff to do. We can do this later. Like you get it every now and then from Seth, and you get it every now and then from Miz.
Well, you get it
But it's
too
a
in a way that it feels like they're cowards, right? Where they're like, "I don't wanna wrestle
yes.
them because I don't wanna, like, lose." And it's like Adam Cole has that a lot, like, when he's, like, saying
Mm-hmm.
no, it feels like he's doing it because he's being, like, calculating or whatever. But when, like,
Right.
Jade does it, it's just like, "Pfft, whatever,
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not
It's not
afraid of
even.
you. You're
Yeah. It's
boring
not.
to
It's
me."
exactly. It's not even on some. I'm
It's that Cardi
shaking. It's
B line
just
that, "If I see you and I don't speak, that means I don't fuck with you." And it's like, "Yeah, I don't care about you." Like,
right. It's or
I don't
it's the Mariah Carey thing. I don't know her.
I don't
I
know
don't.
her.
I don't know her. Like why am I wasting my time with her? I don't know her. I don't know who
I'm
she is. Why
very
are we fighting?
busy.
Right.
I have
And I
that
just
tattooed on my body. I have a gravestone that just says "very
mm,
busy" on it.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Very
sense. Like
busy.
I just I love it, man. And I hope they and I also love that they just turned Red Velvet heel. You know, she had that one match against the hometown favorite that one time, and the crowd booed her. And AEW was just like, all right, fine.
I feel like a lot of people still associated her with, like, Brandy because Brandy, like, brought her in and brought her up,
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah.
Brandy gets a boo, so, like, if she's gonna get booed, like, go with it. Put her in a badass
And
stable.
exactly, and this is a way to earn that boo now, like really earn it, while also giving her a bigger platform because Red Velvet, Kiera Hogan, we were just mentioned AEW leaving a lot of their women off screen. This is a way to get them on screen. You know,
Yeah.
it worked. It worked for Reba and it worked for Jamie. I mean, it can, and I don't know what they're still doing with Brit Stable, but it works for them. It worked for them. Try it again.
Yeah, I hope it's something that keeps getting developed because it rules.
Yeah, yeah.
The other lightning round thing, LOL lightning round in quotes that I want to talk about is the double wedding. It was messy and stupid, and R-Truth is a national treasure.
Our truth is the
He's the
best.
best. He's just the best. They have given him the craziest shit to do for the past like 5 years, and everything he does is hilarious. It's
Hmm.
so good and funny, and him like doing like a call and response to the audience, very funny. The like double wedding, wrestling weddings are silly. Like Reggie and Dana Brooks, I could honestly
Dana
give two
Brooks.
shits about. I don't really
Dana
care. I
Brooks. Yeah.
love Tozawa and Tamina. It's the most I've ever liked Tamina. Like Tozawa, also somebody that they've given nothing to do, and he does it with like finesse, like every time.
Yep.
He's so funny. And then like Sasha and Naomi coming
Ah.
out as Tamina's bridesmaids and her like stomping in her wedding dress and then them trying to fix it. And the way that Sasha and Naomi, like they had similar dresses on. They were the same like style or cut, but they were like different colors, but they coordinated with their like gear and their hair. Very good. Loved that.
Hmm.
Sasha Banks like stealing focus, just standing behind R-Truth was terrible, but also wonderful. The weird, like, Tamina trying to make out with Dana Brooke and Dana Brooke being like, I'm fucking down. Like,
Right. Dana was like,
whatever.
yeah, I mean, what's good, man?
Dana said, I
Let's
just
do
wanted to get married. I don't give a fuck who.
it.
Like, and then Tamina
Reggie
kissing
asked.
Tozawa with like her eyes open was very funny. And then them all like Reggie going under Dana's skirt to pin her, and then Tamina kicking Dana in the
No,
face
no,
to pin
no,
her.
no, no. Reggie kissed Dana
Right.
and pinned her to the
And
mat.
then pinned her. Oh yeah.
Tozawa went under Tamina
Yeah, so Reggie pins Dana, and then Tamina kicks Dana in the face, gets it, and then Tozawa, like the worst garter toss, like crawls under her dress and pins her. And then Dana Brooke flies across the ring, gets the belt back, and then R-Truth gives her a piggyback ride out of the ring.
Yep.
It was so stupid. I loved it. I love wrestling weddings. They are the worst. I work in the wedding industry. And so like as a wedding professional, I'm always like my eye twitches because I'm like, that's ugly. That doesn't make any sense. This isn't how it works. Whatever. It's like a part of my brain that I can't shut off. But as a wrestling fan, I'm like, yeah, this is stupid. I love it. Also, Dana Brooke and Tamina had like some of the classiest wrestling wedding dresses because usually the wedding dresses are like real trashy, which works. It's wrestling. But I was like, these are like classy, like princess cuts. Like these are nice, ladies. I like it.
Those were really cool. I mean, and you know, and speaking for the men, Tozawa and Reggie had some, you know, it was all right. It was okay. I still don't like Reggie.
A cutie.
Yeah, I still don't like Reggie with the shorts. I still don't like, come on, bro. Yeah. Come on. But
I remember when Reggie was French and he was Nia Jax's sugar baby. So
he's come a long way. Is that a trade up, Nia to Dana?
Oh, for sure. I don't know if it's a trade up because he was her sugar baby and she did buy him suits and stuff. Like, so he probably has to pay for dinner now. But like, I would rather hang out with Dana than Nia. Nia has a lot of fun opinions.
I'd rather hang out with Tozawa and Tamina and Dana. Yeah, you're right. And R-Truth.
I ship Tamina and Tozawa really hard.
So back to your Sasha point. I loved her commitment to this. She was so terrible. Committed. She was phenomenal the entire segment, wiping away tears.
For somebody who is like very good at character work and is a good actress, she was terrible, but it was funny. But it was like, Sasha, what are you doing with your face?
She knew it was silly, and she was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna have fun with this. I'm just gonna do all the stuff that I need to do. And I complained about WWE's lack of continuity when I reviewed it on Monday. Well, their lack of paying attention to continuity. And I gave a shout out to Edge for Edge's promo, which incorporated continuity for really being like, well.
Don't you remember I'm from the Brood? I'm a spooky motherfucker.
Right, exactly. It's like, hey, I can do spooky stuff too. Don't you remember? We did spooky stuff all the time in 98, 99.
I'm a spooky guy.
And then I love Tamina and Sasha being like, yep, we're bridesmaids.
I love that.
I'm sorry, Sasha and Naomi
will never die.
Right. They're just like, oh, yeah, we didn't. It's like with Wu. Like Wu-Tang doesn't break up. They just multiply. You know, like they just go their own ways, man. Like Team Bad is forever. They just conquer the world or as Shawn Michaels used to say, another Shawn Michaels reference, do not confuse destruction with expansion. He said that when NWO and DX formed. I love it. I love Shawn. Yeah.
All right, what's the last thing we got to talk about before we wrap this up? Because we tangented like crazy.
The Blackpool Combat Club's new T-shirts. Yes, it's a small thing, but it's a lightning round thing. I'm going to talk about it because we dunked on their initial T-shirt designs, which deserve to be dunked on. Yeah. Their new designs, marvelous. That's very it. Good. Simple. BB, you know, simple. B.
Don't overthink it.
Right. They just went BCC white, BCC black, little blood on there. Look, cool. It looks good.
Just a dab of blood.
Right, and it looks great. I'm like, oh, okay, I would buy this. This looks like a combat club. Yes, okay, cool. It's not the soccer kit with design that we both want, but you know, maybe one day. But I like this, and I still like the club. Willer Yuta is a great addition.
William Regal on commentary, so good,
man. Every time his American accent is great. Him calling Excalibur man with the mask, love it, and he does it every time. I love when he was on commentary on Rampage a couple weeks ago, and Ricky Starks wasn't saying anything, and he was just like, "Ricky, you got to speak up, young man." You know, it's like I love it, but yeah, I kept like I know we talked about, man, would they add people? I think don't add anybody right now. Let this,
the 4 right now is perfect.
Yeah, let this live, let this breathe. But yeah, but the T-shirts, well done. Whoever designed it, I'm assuming Brian and Mox and Wheeler had some input, but well done to AEW's design team for knocking
Good
out the park
design
on the
in
second
wrestling
go.
merch is hard to come by.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Also, WB working on sweaters. That's all I have to say. Okay.
Give me a Letterman sweater.
That's
All
all I'm
right.
saying.
That's it for this week. We'll be back next week, same place, same time.
Same bat time, same bat channel. I've been watching a lot of Batman. If you'd like to be on the podcast, make sure to send your wrestling questions and thoughts to CagesideSocials@gmail.com. Recorded questions are encouraged, but written ones are always welcome.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, I'm at Stella_Cheeks.
And I'm at Abstract Poetic, a 3 with that E supposed to be.
Currently, my Twitter is a lot of Daredevil, so you just have to deal with that.
My Twitter is a lot of rap music right now because I reviewed Pusha T's new album that comes out tomorrow. So, yeah, a lot of music.
And, of course, you can find more wrestling coverage at Cage Side Seats on Twitter and Instagram.
If we missed something you desperately want to talk about, and I doubt it because we talked about a lot, but hey, maybe you like wrestling more than we did this week, head over to CagesideSeats.com and chat with us in the comments of this episode post.
Until next time, Cage Siders.
The tapes are always rolling.